How much does Lando Norris stuff up from pole position? Well, I think he's worse than I thought. All cards on the table. I'm a massive McLaren fan, with the exception of Michael Schumacher triggering my lost German heritage and having my gullible little schoolboy ass supporting him as well as the McLarens. I've been a McLaren fan since the time of Senna and Prost. Don't you judge me, Rosberg, Hamilton, Max Verstappen, fair weather fan. But anyway, so I hope against all hopes that Lando can pull something out of the bag and somehow, some way, beat Super Max to the World Drivers' Championship.
No. No. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. No. 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 Hell no. 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 I refuse. No. No.
I know he probably won't. I also know with Piastri developing exceptionally fast, it's only a matter of time before things get heated between the drivers in Papaya Land, and I can only pray it doesn't go all Hamilton Alonso 2007 once more. While contemplating life's questions, like who still watches network television and why politicians instantly become useless the moment they are voted into office, I realized with a bang that Lando Norris is probably the worst driver from pole position that I've seen in my 30-odd years following Formula 1. So I naturally had to have a look exactly how bad the Landinator was from pole, and after a visit to a pastor for some counseling to rid myself of the horrible feelings caused by the results of my research, I can now share with you exactly how horrible one of my favorite drivers is from pole position. By mid-November 2024, the Brit has qualified first a decent number of times, namely 8. Considering how poor McLaren were just a year and a half ago, that's not half bad. And then it struck my rather slow brain. In 6 of those 8 pole positions, Lando had lost pole, or the lead, by turn 1. Once he lost it on lap 1, and the other time he won the race. In 7 out of 8 times he started from pole, he had lost the lead on lap 1. I've always silently thought Lando may be the hero we hoped for in Papaya Land, the chosen one, the golden boy to lead McLaren back to number 1. Now that's just not gonna happen if the man can't start a race any better now, is it? I'm not getting into the technicalities of why he seems to suck at starting. There are much more qualified people out there to do that, but the logical first thought I had is his reaction times must be bad. So I jumped over to f1oversteer.com to see what they thought, and I'll quote from an article I found there. And I quote, as I said, "A look at their start times at the Dutch Grand Prix from official FOM data shows Norris and Verstappen had identical reaction times of 0.28 seconds off the line. However, Norris lost 0.41 seconds to Verstappen, going from 0 to 125 miles an hour. During the Chinese GP sprint, this was a slightly different outcome, with Norris slower than Hamilton during the initial 0 to 125 miles an hour phase. It only took Hamilton 5.06 seconds versus 5.22 for Norris. Norris's getaway in Hungary was hampered by a small technical glitch, which is what ultimately enabled Piastri to pass him and effectively lead the race to victory." End quote. Interesting. And it doesn't seem that Piastri has the same problem, so it's probably not the car then. A mental issue possibly?
Emotional damage! Emotional damage! Emotional damage!
I never intended to solve Lando's problem though, I merely wanted to examine it. So let's have a look at Lando's 8 poles and what happened in them. 2021 Russian Grand Prix. Having finished the previous race in 2nd place behind teammate Ricciardo, Lando was looking good, and that translated into his first ever pole at Sochi in 2021, achieving McLaren's first pole position since the 2012 Brazilian Grand Prix 9 years earlier. Former teammate Carlos Sainz started 2nd for Ferrari and duly took the lead from Lando into turn 1, and the Englishman ended the race a disappointing 7th. 2024 Spanish Grand Prix. Mr. Norris put the papaya first, ahead of Max and Hamilton, having beaten Verstappen by 0.02 seconds. and then lost out to Verstappen into turn 1. And despite chasing him hard towards the end of the race, ended second behind the orange one, 2.2 seconds down. 2024 Hungarian Grand Prix, with McLaren suddenly super fast, Lando placed his papaya top in Hungary quali and a tight 0.022 seconds ahead of Piastri, who duly went and overtook Lando into turn 1 and ended up controversially winning the race ahead of Norris and Sir Lewis. After, and I quote Wikipedia, McLaren invoked team orders asking Norris, who had gained the lead via an undercut, to swap positions with Piastri. Norris slowed down at the start-finish straight on lap 68, giving Piastri the lead and eventual maiden race win. End quote. Not the smartest move it seems now, but remember, hindsight in November is always clearer than wisdom in July. 2024 Dutch Grand Prix. Somehow there's always orange in pole in Holland, but this time it wasn't the Prince of Orange, it was the young apprentice's papaya. Lando did a 109.6 to Max's 110.0. You don't beat Verstappen in Holland though. You don't beat Verstappen in Holland though. And he passed Lando, who started poorly, into turn 1. But that's not the full story this time, as Norris went beast mode and overtook Max on lap 18, racing off into the distance, winning by 22.8 seconds from Verstappen. So I guess you can beat Verstappen in Holland then. 2024 Italian Grand Prix, the very next race, Lando placed the orange Mercedes on pole once more, giving Toto of the silver Mercedes more sleepless nights of frustration as the orange customer team, papaya customer team, continued to dramatically outpace the actual factory Mercedes team. Lando started top with Piastri second and Russell in the factory Merc third. Norris kept the lead until Piastri took it at turn 4, lap 1. Leclerc would end up winning ahead of Piastri and Norris. 2024 Singapore. At least the kid keeps trying, and when Singapore came round, he was again sitting pretty on pole, ahead of Max and Lewis. So how did he stuff this one up? Well, he didn't. The man was magnificent and kept the lead, going on to win the race by 20.9 seconds ahead of old Super V. Good job, sir. 2024 US Grand Prix, which brings us to Norris' second most recent pole, topping the grid with a 132.3 ahead of Max and Sainz. After the brilliant Singapore Grand Prix, the man once again lost out at turn 1. This time to Leclerc, who would go on to win the race, with Lando finishing 4th in what seems to be an inspired attempt to not win the World Drivers' Championship in 2024. 2024 Sao Paulo Grand Prix. After quali was rained out in Brazil, Lando topped the late qualifying session ahead of Russell and a surprising Yuki Tsunoda. It was a wet race start, but fortunately Lance Stroll decided to entertain fans by beaching his Aston Martin on the formation lap. The man really should consider doing stand-up. Norris was immediately passed by Russell at the start, and Max drived like he was being chased by zombie Nazis to win from 17th on the grid, pretty much destroying Lando's title dreams, but giving us the chance to now see at the final few races if Norris' horrible pole streak was indeed a mental issue caused by the stress of the title race, or if indeed he's just kinda crap from pole. Either way, time to love you and leave you. I hope you enjoyed the little trip down Lando's bad pole memory lane. If you did, please consider subscribing and sharing the content, and if you didn't, why in the name of Tommy Cooper are you still watching, freak show? Thank you either way for watching and liking and calling me a moron in the comments. It all helps with that old algorithm. God bless and goodbye.